Hey, what's up, my lovely friends? How was your day today? I do hope you had a great day and your families are doing well. Well, today we are going to be discussing the second part of the reasons why African diasporans marriages fail. Thank you so very much for returning to my channel. Thank you for subscribing. If this is your first time, I appreciate your presence and your time. Thank you. Please, if you haven't subscribed already, kindly help me push the red subscribe button and the black notification bell. Don't forget the like button, okay? So let's get into it. So number one is practicing the wrong culture in a wrong country. We Africans, we love our cultures. So we import the full spectrum of African culture into diaspora. Literally, we create a mini Africa in our homes. And that is perfectly fine. That is beautiful. I love my cultures too. But we got to understand that we are living in a totally different context in a foreign country. So, for example, the African cultures, especially my country, total expectation of women to be absolute obedient to their husbands. And on the other hand, Christianity demands of women to be totally submissive. Those kind of expectations is not going to work in diaspora, especially in the West, with super consciousness and protection of rights. Marriages in the West is all about equality and partnership. And we, African diaspora, should embrace this. Because we're not going to demand from our spouses whatever is expected of them in Africa. On the other hand, we African women, we love, honor, cherish, respect our husbands. We don't insult them, disrespect, and humiliate them. And we cannot do it here. Just because the law favors women, we cannot take advantage of it to behave in a certain way towards our husbands. They may take it for a little while before they can move out of that home, far away from you. Number two is abuse and lack of support system. Certain things like financial stress, work fatigue, control, financial dependency, or immigration filing dependency can trigger abuses and violence. And how do we handle it? We Africans in diaspora have different circumstances. Most of us are here with our spouse, all alone by ourselves. We don't have family support system. Unlike in the continent, like, it's hard for marriage to break up because we have a whole village of families to mediate, to intervene, okay? They're going to support the couples and help them through their difficulties, even though things are beginning to change in Africa. So we are having more divorce now because of, Africans' importation of Western culture. But that topic is for another day. And another factor is that we don't particularly know how to talk to each other. We don't sit down to address problems. We tend to deny it, and we continue to bottle things up until we explode. And the day we explode, the whole house is going to burn down. So, we cannot act like that. in diaspora. It could work in Africa, but not here. We need to discuss whatever the problem is, because communication is the key. If you don't or can't communicate with your spouse to discuss fully, what is your problems, they will continue to behave like that. We don't do that. We are better off talking about our spouse to our friends, okay? Both the husband and the wives do that. They talk to their friends about what is going on in their home, and then get advices from their friends and implement that advice, and then things get worse. And then again, we call families in Africa to help us mediate our marriage problems in diaspora. What is our families in Africa going to do to help us? They don't understand the cultures that we live, the context, the dynamic. They don't understand why anyone will be behaving in a certain way. They have absolutely nothing to contribute. And in this scenario, they're going to put pressure on the woman to apologize to her husband and to obey, because obviously she's not obeying enough. Why no one hear her own part of the story? Because in some African cultures, men are always right and women are always on the wrong. Women are blamed when their husbands are wrong. Men are not addressed. When they continue to blame the victim and not addressing the aggressor, the situations are not going to improve, because the troublemaker has to be addressed. But not so in our African culture. This is not a solution to anything, because you need to address the problem from where the problem is coming from. Again, they also invite their family friends in diaspora to come mediate in their marriages. When you invite third party in your marriage situation, it can only go worse from there, because sometimes third parties comes in with their own agenda. That is why we need to stop this our privacy and secrecy thing, to start heading to professional therapists to help us with our marriages. They won't be discussing our marriage issues with anyone. They don't know anyone that knows us. So we need to start tapping into this resource than looking for solution in the wrong places, and ultimately that marriage is going to break up. Number 3 is economic abuse. This is a situation where one spouse is not pulling their own weight of their own financial contribution to the family expenses, especially when the other spouse has a good paying job. Some people will decide not to work at all, or get a light seasonal job that is convenient for them, because they think that the other spouse makes enough money to pay for the family expenses. And they may do it for a very short period of time before it becomes a huge problem, because they're going to get burned out. And the funny part of it is sometimes the lazy one wants the one that is already paying the family bills to bail them out. Nah, that is absolute economic and financial abuse. The fourth and the final one is finances. And the major issues with the finances is always the joint account. The account where the two spouses deposit their payroll checks in bi-weekly or every 2 weeks. In America, I don't know about other places. But there is a whole range of issues with regards to this joint account. On the top of the list is one spouse taking total control of the account, okay? Confiscating the checkbooks and the ATM cards and denying the other access to the same joint account that they deposit their payroll checks on. Another issue is unaccountability and reckless spending. The one with the checks and ATM cards will just be making withdrawals and leaving the other person in total dark of what they are doing. They don't think they have to make any account, okay, or explain why or what the withdrawals are for. So, this is not fair to the spouse who's contributing to the joint account. It's bad enough that they confiscate the ATM and the checkbooks and the other spouse have no access to the account, but even when they ask for some money to do something, they get ignored. And I will not tolerate it. I'm sure that many people will not tolerate it either. Okay, because if my paycheck is in there, I should have access to the account as well. And I'm not even supposed to be asking you to give me money out of it. So I can understand why this is going to be a very serious issue. We also hear about one spouse secretly refinancing their family home and taking out cash in equity, and most of the time to travel to Africa to spend recklessly, especially during Christmas time. And the spouse that does this is mostly the one whose name is on the mortgage. And there has been this arrangement that the mortgage might be on the name of one spouse, but the other spouse is the one that is doing the mortgage payment. And they go behind them to refinance the house because the mortgage is in their name. They can do that and then take out the equity. How is it fair to the one that is doing actual mortgage? And then when they take out the equity, they roll back the 30 years mortgage and the other spouse is, paying the mortgage. And the other one is taking out the benefit of it, which is the equity. So this is also causes a major crisis in our African diasporan marriage. So at the end of it all, in the case of a joint account, the disgruntled spouse that felt cheated out, stop sending their paycheck in that joint account. They will open their personal account and redirect their payroll check to be deposited in their personal accounts. From that point on, all hell are broken loose, and ultimately, the marriage ends in divorce. Thank you so very much for stopping by. Please, if you haven't subscribed already, don't leave this time. Please hit the red subscribe button and the black notification bell. Don't forget to also hit the like button so the YouTube algorithm can recommend these videos to other people. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. Let's share and spread the awareness. See you in the next episode. I'm out. Peace out.